Human beings are women in this world, and so they constitute a significant population in the world agenda. I told you this is BizCheck, and we are live from Broadcasting House. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Today we are looking at the achievements of women, the challenges and the opportunities that lies ahead, even as the world celebrates the International Women's Day, which is happening on the 8th, which is on Saturday. My name is O'Brien Kimani. We are live from Broadcasting House. I have a team of eminent women, and of course they're going to guide us in this conversation. I also told you this, that we have our team of reporters on the ground. Some of the issues that we are following up on is the Social Health Authority, the issues around it, and of course the security situation in the country, where we have the Interior Cabinet Secretary Murkomen launching some high-tech security systems here in Nairobi. Those are issues that we are going to discuss, and of course we have a surprise at the end of this show, so you all better keep it right here. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Let me now take you through the team of the ladies who are going to take us through this conversation. They come from different fields, from banking to tech to the film industry. Oh yeah, and even rallying. We have all of them here. And starting on my immediate left, we have Engineer Maureen Wanjiku. She's the chairperson of Women in Tech and also the head of public relations at Huawei, Kenya. Thank you very much, Maureen, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And also we have, next to Maureen, we have Lisa Christopherson. She is an author, an entrepreneur, a media personality, an actor, as well as a rally driver. Remember the world, the WRC championship is happening sometimes next month?
It's actually on the 20th of March, so I think exactly 15 days.
15 days from now.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, and of course you're going to help us understand how does it feel, to be behind the steering wheel when zooming at a speed, I don't know, 360 kilometers an hour.
Thank you so much for having me this morning.
You're most welcome. And of course, next to Christopherson, we have Mary Wamai. She's a corporate coach, she's a banker, and she'll be telling us her story, and although she's an author. Thank you very much, Mary, for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And finally, next to Mary, we have Caroline Maura. She's a Kenyan librarian. She's a Wikimedia advocate and a gender equality advocate. Thank you very much indeed, Caroline, for your time. So, first of all, we want to wish you a happy International Women's Day in advance. And we want to appreciate the role that you're playing in the Kenyan society and in the global community to advance the welfare of women in the world. But I just want to start with Maureen. You are in an industry which is highly dominated by men.
Yes.
I mean, almost 65% of all people in the tech industry are men. Yes. How have you managed to break the glass ceiling?
Thank you so much, Brian. And this is an opportunity for us to just go out and give some clear examples of how this kind of discussions have been led. And it's not something that is so unique about breaking the glass ceiling. I think it's just about what are you bringing on the table? How unique are you? What are you actually presenting to members around? And I think the best thing has been just getting opportunities as sponsors, because sometimes you might be a mentor. You might be mentored all the way through, but over time you find that who will be the person who will speak on the table on your behalf to bring you up. And I think those are some of the things that we talk about sponsors, and it has been a great opportunity that even in the organization that I currently work for, they've given drastic support for us to be able to try and move up beyond the glass ceiling. And we're really grateful, especially for Huawei Technologies, for doing that.
Yes. I mean, and having, risen to the pedestal where, you're the one in charge of women in tech at Huawei, which is a global, conglomerate. Yes. What role are you playing in ensuring that you're not alone at the top?
So thank you for that. I think over time as women, we've always found ourselves, especially in the technology space, and let me just use the word STEM space, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And by the way, I'm actually in the engineering space. So you find that it's very, very difficult to find very many people, especially ladies, being in that particular space. So the best thing has been, over time, being more like, can I put a quote unquote, sort of alone. It's given me the chance to have a program known as Women in Technology Huawei, where you're able to support and mentor other young ladies, not only within the organization, but also outside the organization, where we go out and we speak to women also in the universities to try and bring in this kind of seed, plant this seed from way back, because some of the challenges that I experienced while I was in engineering that time is an opportunity for me. It was an opportunity for me to be able to now help them curb those kind of challenges.
Very well.
Yes, and be able to be on the platform. Yes.
I just want to step on your shoe a little bit, and we just want to go to the Nairobi Securities Exchange, where another critical event is taking place, where it is the ringing of the bell for gender equality, and the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism is currently speaking. Let's listen in, and then we'll come back for the conversation.
The current private sector gender ecosystem presents significant challenges. It also heralds opportunities with immense transformative potential. A private sector committed to an inclusive and enabling environment for women and girls to thrive in a reliable safeguard against gender-based subjugation is what we need. Investing in gender inclusion can transform a company's performance and profitability in profound ways. The ultimate dividend from this approach is increased productivity. Meanwhile, gender diversity within a company is a powerful catalyst for innovation and growth. Research indicates that inclusive business cultures experience a staggering 59.1% rise in creativity and innovation. Furthermore, such organizations report a 37.9% improvement in assessing and responding to consumer demands. Besides, companies that embrace gender inclusion and diversity are better placed to navigate through challenges, seizing new opportunities, and remaining agile in the face of fast-changing market forces. This diversity improves internal dynamics, allowing companies to better understand and serve their wide-angled customer base to greater customer satisfaction. Furthermore, organizations with robust gender equal policies end up enhancing reputations, attracting and even retaining top talents. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the compelling case for gender equality at the workplace, there are stubborn barriers that hinder gender equality and that we must confront. Access to finance is the most significant barrier for women-led businesses, with over 60% of women in Africa identifying it as their primary challenge. Additionally, access to high-value markets remains a considerable hurdle. Within IFC research estimates suggesting that only a paltry 3% of procurement in Kenya truly goes to women-led MSMEs. And remember, it's supposed to be 30% for the special groups. The other bottleneck is lack of financial education and resources This negatively affects individual businesses and broader economic inequalities. Meanwhile, in comparison, women in Kenya earn 62 shillings for every 100 shillings earned by men in similar roles, a disparity that calls for redress. The good news is that studies show that companies with the most diverse leadership teams outperform their peers by up to 25% in profitability. Women also influence or control up to 85% of spending decisions, making up a significant part of most consumer markets, and this is also true in the Ministry of Tourism. I am delighted that the government of Kenya in the manifesto has promised to uphold gender equality despite all the challenges, and significant steps are being made towards fulfilling the promise in the manifesto. So despite their efforts to rise to leadership positions, women face numerous barriers. These including unwitting biases, lack of opportunities, and other workplace-related challenges that hinder progress. The absence of family-friendly policies like childcare, parental leave, flexible work arrangements, mentoring and training in many organizations limit women's professional aspirations and even
Well, that is the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Rebecca Miano, at the bell-ringing ceremony for the gender equality. And this function, this event has been taking place for the last 10 years, and it aimed at ensuring that we bring more women into the financial market, as well as ensuring that more women join the C-suite as well as at the boardroom. And that's a conversation that we're having here. Yeah, I'm in the company of all great women who are helping us and guiding us on this critical conversation, how to uplift the socio-economic well-being of women, and of course how to ensure that we close the gender gap in the boardroom, in the C-suite, at the workplace, and of course in the financial sectors. Well, we've just listened to Engineer Maureen, and now I want to hear this from Lisa Christopherson. You're an author, you're a film star, you're an entrepreneur, you're a rally enthusiast, all things wrapped into one, plus many other things. How have you managed to make it through, despite the fact that all these fields, men are the dominant players?
Well, I think, us women, we're much stronger than the guys actually think we are. Mm-hmm. And what I'm trying to do in the world of motorsport, I founded Kenya's first ever women-only safari rally in March 2022, the Lioness Rally. And it was to encourage, and still is, to empower young girls to take charge of their life by driving through life. And you are also navigating through life. Sometimes, you go in reverse, or you've taken the wrong turn. That's life. Sometimes we go over a triple caution bump. Sometimes we just kanyaga and we go straight on. Mm-hmm. That is basically telling you the story of life. Now, if you can survive in a rally car, in a very male-dominant sport, you can basically survive anywhere. Encouraging young women to tap into that inner strength and realize you are much stronger than you often believe yourself you are.
Mm-hmm. When you introduce yourself as a rally driver, how do people react?
They often look at you and say, really? You actually get in the car and drive yourself? And yes, I do, and I love it. It's exciting, the adrenaline runs high, and it's beautiful. It really is a beautiful story. And we're driving through some terrific landscape in Kenya. Mm-hmm. You look at the WRC Safari Rally. It takes part in the Great Rift Valley, our beautiful country under Nakuru County. You've got Lake Elementaita, Lake Naivasha, you've got Soisambu, the Sleeping Warrior, Hell's Gate. We've got so much to take in and be grateful for. And last year, after driving in WRC, under the Talenta Hela ladies team, we were 4 female drivers and 4 female navigators sponsored by the ministry, Talenta. I then went up to Nanyuki in June 2024 and drove in as the only woman in the Nanyuki rally. And there again, you've got beautiful Mount Kenya, Kirinyaga, right there, and we're driving through 2 amazing ranches, and you're like, wait, did you just see those elephants? You know, it's incredible. So, you know, I encourage many women to take part and join us on this journey of the lionesses.
And we were chatting with you earlier on, and you were telling me that you're just to get sponsors. Does it has anything to do with the fact that Women's Star Show?
You know, today getting sponsorship is incredibly challenging. You really have to push hard. It wasn't the same as it was, for example, 5 years ago. The large corporates who normally would sponsor us, and I'm giving Safaricom as an example, they don't sponsor us anymore. You don't see any brand visibility. Look out there now. There's 2 weeks before WRC basically is flag off from KICC. Has anybody seen a billboard? Has anybody read about the noise that WRC is happening? Anybody saying, welcome WRC Safari Rally to Kenya? You know, in the world, if you mention Safari Rally, people automatically say Kenya, because this was where it was born. It was actually born in Nakuru. So why is there no noise? Why is there no billboards? When people arrive at Jomo Kenyatta, there should be all of the signs exciting for all the visitors coming, knowing that this large event, which actually is viewed by over 6 billion global viewers. Why aren't we taking advantage of it? Corporates out there should be running and saying, we will sponsor you, because that's where we get brand recognition, brand visibility. I tell everybody, guys, I'm a billboard on wheels. So wherever you go with your sticker on my car, you travel with me on this extraordinary journey. So companies are missing out. You know, you snooze, you lose.
You snooze, you lose. I like that. Mary Wamai, you know, as a trailblazer in the banking industry, and having been a senior executive in Equity Bank, or with Equity Bank, which is a regional big bank, what lessons did you learn that you are helping women apply to get to the epitome of banking?
Thank you for that. The one lesson that I learned is that it is possible. That's really my experience. And I'll give you an example. When I joined the institution, when it was actually still a building society, we had a male-only board completely. And in the management team, there were very few women. But by the time I left last year in June, we had actually changed that dynamic to, at the board, we had about 40% women. 40% women. Both at the group board and also at the subsidiary level. We had several managing directors of the subsidiaries who are women. And actually, when we did the statistics of the top management, we actually found that we had 16 women and 15 men doing different things: operations, strategy, insurance, the MDs in the region. So it is possible. But I think it's work because we have, first of all, to understand what are the barriers to women, especially when you talk about the corporate setting. And one of the things we had to do was to actually work on the policies. One of my biggest achievements was the board of Equity passing the diversity policy. And diversity is not just at the board, but also at all levels, from the business units to the middle-level management, and then, of course, to the top management. And, of course, working towards that, creating a safe space, an environment for the women as they do their day-to-day jobs and engagements. So that really happened. But one thing that I also struggled with was also how to get the women to view themselves as leaders, because I think that is one of the biggest barriers, if you ask me, from my experience. And one thing that I had to do was actually to start the women's club. We called it Equip. And the women, telling the women when the opportunities come, whether they are internal or external advertisements for jobs, there are vacancies here and there, why did you not apply? Is it because you felt you were short on some qualification, or is it that you just didn't think it was the place for you? Or did you just not want to take the challenge? So the tough job is actually to get the women to feel that they are up to task. They can do the job, if not even better than the men, or equally well. And then we got to that point where, you'd see people coming up and saying, oh, that vacancy for head of whatever it was, or GM, this and this, I did apply, and I got it. Oh, of course, some will come to you disappointed and tell you, I tried, but I didn't get it. And for me, that was a great opportunity to tell you, okay, let's go back and look at where was the deficiency, why did you not get it this time? Can we work on what you need to improve your CV? Is it an additional qualification that you need? Is it another professional engagement that you need? Or what exactly is the shortfall? So that next time when you try for the same or something else, you are able to get it. And we had a lot of success stories by the time I left Equity. Now, what I'm doing now is also in similar lines, but now for a wider audience. I'm encouraging the women to go for those positions and not to feel like I'm short. Because unless you try it, you will never know. And the engineer here will also tell you, especially for the challenging dockets. But you have to try it, because then it challenges you to make yourself better, do more training, and enhance your skills and your competencies. So for me, I would say that I had a good experience. The other policy we worked on was obviously the anti-sexual harassment policy that was in place in the group, not just in Kenya, but the Equity operates within the region. And it also made sense. On a wider level, we had initiatives from the central bank, for instance, the Capital Markets Authority, also working on their gender parity policies, and there are different stages of implementation. And I do believe that when that is all said and done, we'll have moved many steps ahead. But then I also tell the women that it is not anyone who will come and accelerate the action for us. It also starts with ourselves, how we prepare ourselves for leadership, how we view ourselves as leaders, how we conduct ourselves. When we eventually join that board as a female board member, what contributions do we make? Do we prepare for board meetings? Are we ready? Are we making a good show of it? Do we speak on various platforms? Because that's the only way then you get to the next level, where we build that credibility as women and demonstrate that we can actually lead well. And the next time there's an opportunity, someone is going to suggest either us or another woman for that position. So I can say that there has been great progress, but there's still a lot of work to be done, both at the internal corporate level and also at the wider policy level. Yeah.
And I like the fact that you're saying that, I mean, it also calls women, to step up and step out. Because the war is not just going to be won by men alone. I mean, it also takes the effort of women to come out and say that this is the right position, this is what we need to do to uplift the welfare of women. And I like this fact. I mean, this year, the world will be celebrating 30 years of the Beijing Declaration, which was made in the city of Beijing in 1995. And if I can share with you some statistics, back then, less than 15 countries had policies on gender-based violence.
Yeah.
Today, as we sit here, you have 192 countries, this is according to the United Nations, that have ratified policies on gender, what do you call this? Gender abuse. I've forgotten the name. And so this shows you that we are moving on as a world.
Yeah.
We may not be moving at the desired pace, but of course, we are making slow progress. But I just want to find out now from Karo Mwaura, as a Wikimedia advocate and as a gender equality advocate, what are we not doing right to ensure that we get as many women into the leadership role? We champion the welfare and the agenda of women.
I think I will say it's not more about like what we are not doing right. I think already things are happening. It's just that maybe they're happening in a very slow space. But what I love is that different organizations here are talking about gender equity in the organization. Same as in the Wikimedia Foundation. There is championing and accelerating and talking more about creating visibility of women. And I'll give an example, like until 2024, 20% of articles on Wikipedia are women. But what is happening? We need to keep on encouraging. I train women on how to edit on Wikipedia, how to add biographies. I am doing my own small way to create this, so that we don't remain that we are not doing something. So I think each one of us is to come up and do their own small way of, you know, trying to help women, trying to create a safe space, trying to encourage women. Even if you have a child, just come along. Even if you have a child, we will pay for child care support. We will support you, but don't be left behind. And I think another thing maybe that we are not doing more is going deeper to the communities and encouraging women, maybe in a slum situation, like they can do it, like the way she has said, like you can do it, and this, despite the barriers, try and do something. Yeah.
And I mean, that's like a whole new field, of, you know, editing, Wikipedia stuff and all that. And so what has been the response of women? I mean, when they see you, when they listen to you, and when you tell them, I mean, look here, you can do it, I've done it, you can do it. How do they respond?
I have gotten a very positive response when I say we have created visibility for Kenyan women. I see them wanting to go and find out what happened, what information is there. Is Wikipedia a reliable source anymore? And I will encourage them to, hey, as well as you can be an information consumer and as well as a creator of information. So I've seen in my space more women coming in. They want to, what can I do on Wikispace? Can I upload an image? Can I add a reference? As small as adding a reference, can I add a citation? So I've gotten very positive feedback from women, and they are driving themselves. At least it's not something they need to be there 8 to 5 as a job doing. On their own, at their own time, we will create campaigns that will promote them. Like right now, the Wikimedia Foundation is focusing on the International Women Month. And it's all about celebration all over the world, celebrating women and encouraging them. You can do as little as just adding an image of a prominent person in your country to be seen on Wikipedia, or you can add an engineer on Wikipedia who is notable. So I think it's a great space that we are trying to create visibility and talk more about Wikipedia and encourage people, hey, you can come in and be a contributor. Yeah. Yeah.
And Maureen, when you're seated here listening to Caroline, I find that you are in electrical and now you are championing the agenda of women in the tech space. Is there areas of collaboration between you and what Karen is doing to ensure that you bring more women into the tech space?
Yes. So I think first and foremost, this is something that cannot be done alone globally. One thing is that I noticed is that most people tend to assume that you'll have independent programs and run it as an organization. For us to be able to break these particular barriers, we need to be able to sing the same song, dance to the same tune. And one of the things is that we collaborate with various organizations so that then, even in the programs that we do, they may have strengths in certain areas. We may have strengths in technology because we're the leading organization around technology. I think those are some of the things we need to be able to use as stepping stones and bring now the women in that. One of the things I love is that we need to be able to have around digital conversations. These particular areas, as we move towards the communities, as we move towards these particular areas, what are the key factors, and they mentioned about the barriers, that we can be able to nip and be able to help people to come out of those zones. And sometimes we assume that some of the programs that we do, it's easy for you to be able to drive it. So let me use as an example of our organization. We've been able to collaborate even with counties, even with organizations like our operators. We've been able to bring in artificial intelligence trainings. Do we have leaders in those spaces? Do we have solutions that can come and help? Solutions like femicide? Do we have solutions that can be able to come up and help the ordinary mama mboga to try and sell their produce from wherever they are, and they don't need to assume that they need to come to Nairobi to actually sell some of these things. So collaboration comes in as a very key factor, and it will help us to drive this particular barrier that we are looking at. And even as we drive that, how are we able to pull up more and more women into that space? Sometimes we find that you end up moving up, you forget who's down here. As you move across, you end up forgetting how you started. That's the fact that you have that stepping stone and that particular collaboration with other organizations. It helps you also bring up several women, probably from other organizations, who may end up having more talent that maybe if you walked alone, you may not have established. Yes.
I can see, Lisa, you want to interject and say something, but before you also say that, I want you to combine these. I mean, you're also in the entrepreneurship space, and you know, I was going through some statistics. I love statistics, and you know, the UN Women says that more than 85% of all domestic workers are women. I mean, that is not a beautiful space to be. And so, in your entrepreneurship journey, what are you doing to help women come along with you and become formal entrepreneurs?
So I founded a space in Gigiri called Lifestyle. So it was a blank canvas, an empty house with a beautiful big garden, nothing else. So I had my vision board that I could see everything should be safari chic. You know, we live in the diplomatic hub, so to be there. But why don't we have all the businesses, we bring in the women to do their spas, salon spas. So we have the most beautiful salon spa, nail bar under a tent. But it's very elegant, Aura Spa it's called. Then we have restaurants, Misa restaurant, Kasamoya restaurants, and they're all driven by women. Again, we have a juice bar in the garden, fresh juices, smoothies, driven by women. You know, encouraging Kenyan women to take charge and work. You know, sometimes it's not easy, and we work 7 days a week, we work maybe 14 hours a day. God's given us 24 hours. Why don't we use those hours usefully? So I'm also an art curator. Have an art gallery. I specialize in African tribal art. So part of those things come into the story of when I'm creating beautiful spaces for people as an interior designer as well. So whether it's the corporate space, Coca-Cola's head office, or the US Embassy, a private room, or a boardroom, it's beautiful to bring those pieces in. But yes, the majority of the people that I work together with at Lifestyle are all women-driven businesses.
And when you look at, you know, even where we are, I mean, it may look very easy that the four of you are occupying this space, but it takes tremendous amount of courage, you know, determination to get to where you are. And it may get lost to us that for the ladies, for the girls in the villages, in the rural communities of this country, sometimes it's very hard, even accessing basic education. And so, Wamai, I know you're an advocate and a banker at the same time. Are you convinced that we as a country, we are putting the right policies in place to ensure that women and girls are given access to quality education, to opportunities, to finances?
Maybe yes and no. And I think we will go very basic here when we look at the setup of our societies, because it starts from the family. And the wider society. And we look at, and I personally say that I became what I became because I got access to education. And I was also lucky because the year I was going to Standard 1 primary school, that is the year that the late Jomo Kenyatta declared free primary school education. And my peasant mother could be able now to take me to school. Maybe I would not have gone at that time if there was payments to be made, because she could not afford. So we have free education. The question is whether the facilities support education for girls. We have some very basic questions and problems like even girls missing school because they're on their periods, for instance, and they don't have protection. They are feeling embarrassed. They miss school. We have issues of early pregnancies, which is also another big barrier. And they believe that when a girl gets pregnant, drops out of school, that's the end of her life. And we have a lot of cases where they just dropped off and nobody bothered to encourage them to get back to school. And yet we have very successful studies. And I know a few girls who literally dropped out of school in secondary school. And with a bit of encouragement and inspiration, they were able to go back. And now they are doing very fantastic. They are being able to progress their careers afterwards. And at the same time, bringing up their children. And now being able to support their kids and also the other families, the extended families. So those are some of the questions that we need to think about, the wider facilities. But more importantly, I would say that maybe one of the biggest barriers is also the socialization. I don't know how Dr. Maureen became an engineer, but I could bet that in many of our societies, we as girls are encouraged to be, you know, the traditional roles. So we are encouraged to be, and I have nothing against being a teacher or, you know, the easy roles. But who tells the girls that STEM, science, technology, engineering and maths is your thing? Very few. In some of the families, for instance, it's actually not encouraged. And that is something that we need to change. You know, that socialization where women are encouraged to become the best that they can be and thrive in engineering, for instance, or in tech. We have seen women do big things in those high-tech professions. So I think we will start from the families, the parents, the parenting, and then of course we have the schools where the government then comes in to provide the facilities that are necessary, and then of course have the right policies so that the girls will be able to have uninterrupted education. One other thing that I would like to maybe spotlight at this point is in some of our communities where they practice early marriages. You know, we see girls of 11, 13 years, you know, being forced to go into marriages. What then happens is they have to drop out of school if they were in school in the first place. So can the policies then be tightened? Can the enforcement, can something be done about the cultural practices then that affect those kind of situations so that we have the girls then going the full thread into education and building careers before then they can start building their families, because then we have more economically and financially independent women who are able even to manage their families better when they have the education that they have got either formally or informally. Yeah.
And I like the fact that you're bringing in the issue of culture, because you know, cultural barriers are very strong, you know, in stopping the advancement of women. And you have a situation whereby 2 out of 10 women in the world, you know, they live in extreme poverty. And if climate change, you know, the adverse effect of climate change continues, then you're likely to have the situation even getting worse, because in most communities, women are the ones in charge of getting water, fetching water, you know, attending to the farms and so much. And from where you sit, Caroline, and I know you work with other communities, you know, at the community level, what do you tell them when it comes to giving girls, you know, and women more access to opportunities?
I think I can say I have really worked with especially young girls who I think it has become as more of my personal responsibility to encourage a girl like, hey, you can come to the library, you can sit, you can read for hours, you can have a space, and you can have even access to books, you know. as small as access to books. I see in my community, girls are left behind first to wash and clean and do other things. Then after they are doing that, that's when they are allowed to come to the library. I know it's a sad story, but I have taken it as a personal responsibility. I will make sure when the girl comes, then she has her own free space. She feels comfortable. If she's on her periods, she will approach me and tell me, hey, it's not that day, but I still need to study. So for me, I think I keep encouraging them and taking it as a personal responsibility, because each and every day I see them and I get to interact with them, and I just get to remind them, as she said, we can do it, we need to start. We can be great engineer. I have seen young girls from a slum community pushing themselves, becoming lawyers, becoming engineers, and it's because somebody has told them, yes, you can cross that barrier, you can bridge that gap, and you can be able to read, and there is space here for you to do it. And same as I think when it comes to Wikipedia, we encourage in women, they don't need to be left behind. They can be photographers, they can add something online that, as you know, Wikipedia is the largest global encyclopedia, and how many people will view when we add women on STEM, women on Safari Rally, women in business, when we create articles on women in Kenya. They can do it, and we have a program that we do basic computer literacy skills, and from that we encourage them on this space. Then this is how your journey will start. Then you can decide to I encourage, I think, girls more to go into STEM. I think I want to break the barrier of being told we are teachers and we need to stay at home. I want to encourage them to choose the STEM, to choose the IT space, to choose AI, to learn AI. And for me, I've taken a personal responsibility to do it. Yes.
And you're also talking about job opportunities,
yes.
For ladies, I mean for girls, for women. How do they join that space?
Okay, for the Wikimedia space, for Wikimedia space, first of all, everybody can edit Wikipedia.
Everybody.
Anyone can edit Wikipedia. The only thing that you need to do is to, Wikipedia have very high standards of making sure the information is credible and putting it in a neutral point of view. Like I can't come and be a bit personal about you. I'm writing your article, and this I will be guided by doing the correct references. So it is a space that people edit for free. It's a global movement that come together, but they get support in terms, if there are campaigns, they'll get, I talked about us giving women opportunity. If you have a child, then you can get a stipend to somebody to take care of your child. You can come with your child, we'll give you space. We in our small meetups, we create even a space for kids and moms that they can watch their kids if they don't have, or they can come with someone. So that is a space that I feel that is how we try to encourage more women. Come edit, and what is your area of interest?
Do they get paid?
No, you don't get paid when you edit Wikipedia. Yes, it is a free open source.
So how would they make a living out of it?
It is not basically in terms of making a living, unless you are employed on Wikipedia, the foundation, the Wikimedia Foundation, sorry. But in terms of creating content, in terms of creating information, Wikipedia becomes a free space that you create information for free. So it is more of a learning, you can be on STEM, an engineer, and decide, let me do something on my own. I can have that girl who is trying to navigate, who just cleared college. I will support them in terms of making sure the space is available, there is internet connectivity. I have given them the skills to navigate through the internet and be able to create contact. So you cannot pay me to create
my profile, for example.
Yes.
But I also believe there is beauty, I mean, when you sit back and when you see people reading the profile that you wrote and they appreciate it. I believe there is also, it comes with some level of pride. And I want to find out, I mean, engineer, the government has been talking about empowering more girls, even to join STEM courses. And just the other day, I was having a conversation with the CEO of Kenya Innovation Agency. And what came out is that less than 40% of girls, in high school, their aspiration is not to join any STEM courses, and they are trying to change that through the Kenya Innovation Week. What else do we need to do to encourage more women to diversify professionally and get into STEM courses, which are the future courses?
Amazing. And you've talked about Kenya, and it's one of the key organizations that also we partner with as an organization. Collaboration, as we mentioned earlier. One of the key areas that we're looking at is to try and, we need to try and tap into the opportunities from as young as they are, as young as maybe, let's say, when they are, when they are in primary school. Right now, the current generation that we have are able to challenge or even have this discussion. Why can't we put them in certain small competitions? Create solutions for a basic solution, like something that they like doing in the house. Just tell them, can you create something that is a solution using the mobile phone, and even the computers, because right now we have accessibility of computers now, even outside in the counties through the Jitume labs. How then do we encourage parents to take children to, bring up certain solutions that can be beneficial to the community? Because the problem is that so many people have thought about tech in such a complex way. You talk about artificial intelligence, you see people talking about whatever is EV cars or, people self-driving cars. And the unfortunate part is that the solution is as simple as walking from here to there, and that is what we need to start with. How simple is tech? How do we show people, like in our organization, we normally do small competitions, like as recent as about a month ago or 2 months ago, we did an artificial intelligence competition where we asked certain students, come up with a solution for special needs people. Why can't we have certain program? And out of that, you end up now realizing these young people have very, very many critical opportunities that they can bring out there. Now, once you start there, they are taken to Kenya Innovation Week solutions. We have programs that also the government and also private organizations normally have, like job fairs. Let people give an opportunity to the young people to showcase the solutions that they have. Invite organizations to come and see this kind of solutions. Encourage more, pick and showcase these solutions, even globally, but even more so, not even wait only for organizations to portray. Right now, you can become a content creator by just using your phone. Can you be able to take a video of that solution that you've done and try and get some funding around that, So I think those are some of the things that we need to encourage more, rather than just having people say that let's wait for a job opportunity so that then you can be able to, you can be the creator of that job by just having something that I made a solution and I'm going to employ Brian to support me in that. And he also is like-minded like me. What can we be able to do for the community? And you find everyone growing around that space, and people will now move in terms of creating their own entrepreneurial roles.
Do we have an organization or a platform that brings together women in STEM in Kenya?
Well, so far we have several. I know certain private organizations have that. I don't want to name a couple of companies because then I'll be promoting, but people like also, let's say, like operators like Safaricom actually have programs that bring together even their partners, the partners who are who actually do businesses with them as partners to try and build them. So they call it Women in Business. So out of that, they bring together other organizations and put them together and build, and it's specifically for women. And it's actually been led by one of the leaders within the organization. Yeah.
And one of the other things that we are doing here, I mean, in case you're just joining us, I mean, we are discussing how to empower women financially and even socially. And I'm in the company of 4 great women, I mean, who have broken the glass ceilings in their various engineers. I have gender activists or gender champions here. I also have bankers. I have authors on this platform. And one thing that we're discussing here is how do we help women to step up, to step in, step up, and step out. Those are some of the issues that we are discussing here. But I just want to hear these from Lisa. I mean, and in case you didn't know, Lisa Christopherson is an actor on the Housewives of Nairobi. Yeah, you got it right. Housewives of Nairobi. She's here with us. So, and I'm sure when, you know, people are watching you on screen, when you're acting, and I know there are so many women, there are so many ladies who look up to you and say, wow, I really want to be in such kind of a role. Do you have an organization or a platform where you train women how to become good actors?
No, I don't, but it's actually a good idea. But let me tell you about the Real Housewives of Nairobi. So it's Kenya's first international reality TV show, yes, Hollywood. And I'm not a trained actor at all. I got a phone call one morning and said, look, we're calling you from Dear Now Studios. We would like you to come down to our studios and be interviewed. I said, for what? For reality TV? I said, me? Initially I said no, because I said, I don't even watch reality TV. And then a girlfriend of mine, Nana, called me and said, look, they've even called me, let's go together. So we went down there and we got interviewed, and I said, okay, I'll agree to do it and be part of this reality TV show on 2 conditions. 1, I take the women on safari and I show them Kenya through my eyes.
Wow.
2, I take them rallying. Let's eat some dust. So it's a reality TV show. And for those who don't know, it's not scripted at all. So you literally are in a scene like this and we're just having conversations. So nothing is, you're not told this are the conversations we're supposed to be having today or pre-planning this event. No, you're just thrown in the deep end, and it's how you handle yourself in those situations. And it's coming into your house, into your space, into your wardrobe, and they're checking on you. So any girl out there that wants to venture into acting, I would suggest join. After season 1, I bowed out gracefully and said, guess what, guys? I'm going to do my own reality TV show because I believe I have so many stories to share and positivity. I don't do drama. And the Real Housewives franchise, I think a lot of people will relate to it as very dramatic. And that's not how I want to show Kenya. So that's why I'm working on my own reality TV show and actually currently in conversations with producers in the US.
And I know, I mean, like, I'm sure, you know, a lot of people have always asked, why housewives?
Why not? It's an opportunity to tell your story. It's an opportunity for people to get to know who is Lisa. You know, and I always say Lisa stands for life is so amazing. So for also those who don't know, I'm a cancer survivor. 19 years ago, I was given 10 days to live. And here I am, fitter and stronger. Remember that song, What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger. So encouraging, again, the young women out there that no matter what obstacle that you face in life, pick yourself up. Never rely on anybody else. Rely on yourself. Look yourself in the mirror, because if you mess up, it's your own fault, right? So for you to blame. So I think it's having accountability for yourself no matter what it is you do in life. So being on TV, I thought, hey, I've never done this. Why not? Let's do it. And again, I could be able to tell my story and show Kenya, bits of Kenya, at least through the screen, for the people out there. So we can also say, guys, Karibu Kenya. You know, we want to try and increase tourism, the numbers to go up to at least 3 to 3.5 million visitors per annum. And I think where CS Rebecca Miano is doing a marvelous job on that. And you know, 2 of the books I have written are comprehensive guidebooks on Kenya, from the north to the south, to the east to the west. We've got everything here. We've got deserts, we've got volcanoes. I mean, people don't know what the ingredients of our country actually entail. It's a phenomenal country. So being on TV and talking about our country and showing them bits of the bush, and we went to the beach as well, Hell's Kitchen outside of Malindi, was amazing.
And I also want to find out from you, I mean, you know, being in that stage of being an author, a rally driver, a cancer survivor, and I mean, it's quite encouraging seeing you standing here, you know, after battling, you know, the intricacies of cancer. There are so many women out there, you know, who do not even know where to start. I mean, they have the potential, they have the talent, but they don't even know where to start. They're not encouraged enough, they're not motivated enough to take the first step and do it. What would be your advice?
I would say you just do it. But first of all, you know, what I always recommend to anybody actually out there is take your notepad and a pen. And when you wake up in the morning and having your tea or your coffee, write 10 things down that you are grateful for, 10 things down that you want to do that you haven't done yet. So you're setting yourself goals, and how then will I get to number 1 or to number 10, and how will I reach it? Who can help and support me on that journey? I do a lot of mentoring. I get phone calls from people I don't know. How did you do that? How did you survive cancer? You know, and I'm always happy to have those conversations. Every year I am on the panel of discussions and mentoring many women for cancer, the Cancer Month with Pinky Galani. And I'm happy to have conversations, even for companies to call me in and say, look, can you come and give a conversation to these women as well? Empowering them. Again, whether you're surviving cancer or you're going through challenges in your workspace or in your domestic life, how do we embrace them? It's having also a positive mindset. And I always say, never feel sorry for yourself. Pick yourself up, you know. We sometimes have to smack ourselves and wake up kidogo because we have actually so much to be grateful for.
Very good. I mean, we are taking a short break, and then once we come back, we'll continue with this conversation and just try to find out what is the role of women and boys in helping women step up and step in, and of course, supporting them with whatever, I mean, that is needed to support women. You know, the International Women's Day is coming up in about 2 days from now. It's happening on Saturday. And we are excited here at the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, and that's why we decided to put up an IWD special here, where we're having a conversation with the great women who have, you know, the broken barriers, you know, in various industries, I mean, to make it through. And now they're standing here as a beacon of light and a beacon of hope for women out there who are still struggling, trying to break it through. And of course, this is a kind of conversation that we are going to have in the next hour. I can see 1 hour down. We're now talking about 11 a.m. We still have another hour to go. And I told you this, I mean, you all better be prepared for the end of the show surprise. We have something very beautiful that is coming up here. I mean, I'm not going to let the rabbit out of the bag yet, so you all better keep it right here. A short break is well deserved, and then thereafter we'll be back with more. Stay right here.
We were going to tell you. We were drunk that day.
Damn you, Liang Shanshan. Don't show off your love around me. At least, give me some time to get used to it.
They got together. Huh?
They're dating.
Keep quiet.
Just wearing the headphones. She won't hear us. You think
Of course it's true.
And if I hadn't asked? If I didn't find out, did you plan to keep it from me forever?
The world of governance is vast and can be alien to the ordinary man on the street.
Critical issues are going to be discussed.
From white papers to policy positions, it is easier to get lost in the labyrinth of words.
Inside Government takes you to key global metropolis where critical decisions are made and where policies are crafted.
We interview policymakers and senior government officials to highlight and enumerate government policies and projects. We take a deep dive into the underbelly of complex red tape to demystify policies across the country, across the world. Join me, O'Brien Kimani, on Inside Government, only on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. You're watching KBC Channel 1, and of course this is Biz Check. We are live from our national headquarters here in Broadcasting House, and of course today it's an all-women star panel. This is in celebration of our ladies, and of course gearing up for the International Women's Day celebration here, and of course we're having great conversations with great women here. I have movie stars, I have bankers, I have others, I have librarians, gender equality champions, I have engineers on set. I mean, it's a great panel. This is definitely the best it can get. And of course, so let's get back to this conversation here. And I want to find these from Mary Wamai. I mean, you don't have so many executive bankers in this country who are women. I think you can even count them. In a situation whereby you have close to 40 to 43 banks in this country, you have less than 10 women who are in the executive or who are CEOs. And so what are the challenges, you know, in ascending to the pinnacle of banking leadership in this country?
Okay, I think it goes for most of the industries, not just the banking industry, but I'll talk about the banking industry because I've been there. And I was very interested actually in that question you've raised. So how come the women do very well at the entry level? In any typical institution, you'll actually find it's almost a 50-50 when we come in at the lower level. But as we go up the ladder to the role of the branch managers, to the middle level managers and the top management, the executive, the numbers start dwindling. And that's why now you start getting a 15%, maybe 20%, which is not quite very good. So I actually paid a bit of attention to that when I was setting up the women's program. And there were a few findings. I also did the focus group discussions with the women and asked them, what do you think are the barriers? And a few things came up. And the first one is the issue, which is internal to the women sometimes, the confidence to take the position, the confidence to take the role. And it is clear now that probably because of our nature, we want to be perfect. So when the role comes up, I look at the requirements and, they are saying they need 15 years experience. They are saying they need this. There are about 10 qualifications that are required. I count mine and I say, I have 10 out of 15. So do I apply? No. I wait until I get to 15. What does the man do? He has 9 out of 15, and then he applies and says, I'm the best man for this job. I've done it here and there. This is what I did in this place. So hire me, or give me the new position, the higher position. So that's a dynamic that we need to work on, and this is where now the issue of mentorship comes in. And you can see I'm doing a lot of mentorship on social media and social platforms now, because I would like to encourage the women that you don't have to be a 15 out of 15 to go for that position or to seek that promotion. You can actually apply if you are a 10 or 11 out of 15 requirements. And then you keep on upping your game. And I think Lisa talked about setting your goals. You know, when you set your goals and you say, in the next 5 years, I want to be the general manager of my unit. And then you work backwards and say, this is what I need to do, and this is what I need to prepare. This is the additional qualification that I probably would need to beef up my CV. These are the networks that I need to join. These are the kind of forums that I need to attend so that I can learn more. I can meet more people, because a lot of it is also the networking. Maureen talked about sponsorship. And it is very critical. So the only way you get good sponsors who will get you somewhere is by going out there into organizations, into fora. You meet Lisa and then she hears, oh, you do this? Okay, I know of an opportunity somewhere. And you go for it. That is really basically what I am doing now, to encourage the women to really think beyond their space, their small space, because out there in the world there are a lot of opportunities, but they need to be there and they need to know about them. And I think we are also lucky because we are living in the digital age now with the AI that engineer talked about. And you can get as much information that you need. Even in terms of the question you were asking earlier about the training, a lot of training, a lot of information is available online. Actually, a lot of it is free. So we just need to work a little bit more, spend a little bit more of our waking hours beefing up our knowledge and information, because also I can say without any shadow of doubt here that this world is not for those who are lazy or those ones who are just sitting and waiting for others to bring for them or take action for them. I think those ages have gone. Today is an age where we have to take initiative ourselves, get the knowledge, and then link up with the people who might utilize that knowledge and pay you. And that we have seen a lot of people who are making money. They are monetizing their creations and their, their content, like Caroline talked about, just by going out there, but doing something about our lives. We've had an unfortunate situation where it's like, even when we look at the theme of this year's International Women's Day, we are saying accelerate the action. But then I'm asking people, I'm asking the women especially, who is supposed to accelerate the action? But we know, of course, there are policy issues, so we need government and other agencies to accelerate action, enforce policies. But a lot of the stuff is what we need to accelerate ourselves, to prepare ourselves for the business, prepare ourselves for the market, prepare ourselves for the workplace if we want to be employed, or prepare ourselves for self-employment, especially in this day and age where, companies are restructuring, there are fewer jobs around. So if we focus on self-employment, beefing up our knowledge and our skills and all, and doing something that will guarantee that we have food on our table every day, then it's going to happen for us. Yeah, so that's basically, so it's work in progress, but I think we still need to do a lot, especially in shaping the thinking about what do I need to do as an individual.
I read, I saw something that was written and it was so profound, and I've been thinking about it, and it went like, women come back home from work to cook, while men come back home from work to eat. Okay, and to me it sounded like the game is already rigged. Yes. And so you have so many things, tying up women, from making it into the corporate ladder. But so I mean, there's some responsibilities that women must play, in the society. Otherwise, things will not go well. But even with those responsibilities left to them, how do you then, or how do we as a society, as communities, encourage women that, yes, you're doing these, but on top of these, you can do these without really tying them down to their social responsibilities, Maureen?
Interesting that you've talked about that particular statement. And it's the culture. It's the culture that we all grew up knowing that it is okay that you must get home, you cook, you clean, you what. Doesn't matter whether you become a working woman. Actually, for you to get a husband, you need to have portrayed all those qualities. And then these are the things. Cook. Yeah, that you can cook.
You can bring
clean,
up kids.
You can bring up kids. I mean, how is it that you're going to, be attractive if at any one time you cannot enter the kitchen? But over the years, I believe there's so many things that have come up. There's so much in technology that has come up, even though you must come home and cook. There's so many things. Now, there are air fryers. I don't know. You just throw in things here and there. Yes, you can still cook, and you can still create that time too. And I believe it's also that discussion as a family setup, okay? Yes, your partner, your spouse, or even you're a single mother, you know, bringing up children, there's always that discussion that you need to have from the beginning. And I always pointed back to how you grow up and your parents' understanding and getting support from their parents, because then as you grow, and by the time you enter into that space that you've decided, you've made that decision that you must be able to do that, then get that support that you need to incorporate this. You know, I need to get home and do some of these things. How about I'm exhausted, I cannot do this. Can we work together? Or can we be able to jointly get someone who can support us in terms of making sure that none of us sleeps hungry, you know? So that just extra step, I think it all boils down to communication, because now what's happening is that we are in this, you're facing imposter syndrome at work, and then even in your own house, you're not sure whether you can be able to communicate over these things. So I think for me, it all boils down to communication, both from the support from parents and also from the support, your nuclear support system, and also the extension into your employers. Yeah.
Lisa, I can see you want to comment on these. And I mean, she's right. You don't know how to cook.
I think there's more other important things to do than cooking.
Than cooking. But of course, I know you enjoy, you know, a good meal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And she's bringing up a very interesting aspect, you know, of culture. And we know that culture, you know, is a very strong aspect, you know, in any community, in any society. But again, how do we balance culture and, you know, development and ensuring that no one is left behind? Caroline.
Well, I think I will agree with what you have said about starting conversations from within and asking for support. I am one of the people who do meetings after work all the way, I think, to 10 p.m. just on wiki space. And if I don't have support of my family, I don't have support of growing up. Like I grew up as the only girl, so in my family, and I still am the only girl in my family. And I see my brothers, the kind of support they give me, the excitement that they come up and tell me, hey, today you'll be doing this, we got your back. And if there are things that I don't have or I need to, for me to be able to be on this space, I get backup, I think, from my family, because they know what I'm doing. They understand, like, she is on Wikispace, she's a librarian, she's a mother, she has an 8-to-5 job, she has the other 28 hours to do other things. And I think the communication from start and us breaking the barrier of our traditions, speak what you are doing as a woman. Tell people, I am doing this, I am Lisa doing so many things. Then people will embrace you and your work and what you do. And I think they will support you. I can imagine from the way you said your story about going to school from those early ages and getting your support from her parents. I don't think she will be here, broken barriers and many years ago, and her, you know, her family embracing what she does and communicating and talking it. I think that's how we are going to break the traditions of just saying, what am I doing? And telling people, I do this, I edit Wikipedia, I try to look for notable women. They will help me and ask me, I got this person, do you think they are notable in Kenya? Do you think we can create an article for them? Can we create their visibility? I think us talking about it will really help us.
I can see you want to say something.
Yeah, I just want to add on to what Caro has said. We must embrace delegation, both at work or in our businesses and at home. What I mean is that, you know, sometimes we just want to do it. And again, it goes back to the issue of we want everything to be perfect. So we don't trust anybody else to do what we need to do. Now, at work, let's get competent people to support us. So that, I mean, I don't need to work on making sure, you know, all the meetings are booked. I mean, somebody else can do that for me. There are some tasks that we can delegate effectively, but of course with oversight. Now, at home, and this may be unpopular in some quarters, to the point that engineer raised, I mean, we don't have to go and shop for groceries. If we have an 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 or 8 to what diary, somebody else can be trained to do that. And I think that is Lisa's point. Somebody else can effectively do that, but they have to be guided. I mean, in my house, what do we have for dinner today? We will eat ugali. Now, the person will know, we'll go and buy hostess if we don't have any in stock, and there's someone to help them to do that. And then they come and prepare. I do not have to do it because I think a lot of the times we are overburdened because we want to do, of course, there are some things that we cannot delegate, especially those ones that relate to our kids and schoolwork and visiting days and sports days, and all those require the parental attendance. So those ones aside, but what else can be delegated and get somebody else, but somebody competent to help us to execute the same tasks, if not as well as we could, actually maybe better, because they have more time to do that and take their time. And if we do that, then we actually find that we have more time really to focus on the 80-20, because our life should be about the 80-20, doing the 20 things that give us 80% of results very well. Then somebody else can help us with the 80 that does not give us the, the balance. So that's really basically how I see, because we are talking about work-life integration here. It is possible, although it's not easy, especially in our societies, where we have some spouses who will say, my food has to be cooked by my spouse. So, of course, when there is that situation, then we go back to engineers' conversations.
Let's
talk about it, whether it's really possible in the circumstances, because I also have an 8 to 5, just like you do.
And I also want to hear this from Lisa. I mean, being born in Denmark, which is a complete...
Correction. Sorry. I was actually born and raised on the foothills of Mount Kilimanjaro.
In Tanzania.
In West Kilimanjaro, in Tanzania, but of Danish origin.
Of Danish origin. Yes, and now you're residing in Kenya. And, the Danish culture and the African culture are completely different. In Africa, I mean, girls are expected to go to school, graduate and do all that, get families settled down, cook for their husbands, bring up their kids and all these. And at the end of the day, they're also expected to go up, the corporate ladder, to grow, to become financially stable and all these. I don't know how is the culture in your country, but I know it is very different. When you look at all these, do you feel or do you think like the game is somehow rigged against women?
No, not at all. I think, today in 2025, no matter where we are in the world, despite the cultures that we have in Kenya, women are very strong. They have a voice, and many of them today are very independent. So when you even go to the supermarket, you'll see a lot of men in the supermarket shopping. And in Denmark, I know from a lot of my friends, their husbands shop, their husbands cook. So, and they are very supportive. So everything is more or less 50-50 there. And I think the way we are going, it's becoming that way here as well.
50-50?
Yes.
Is it happening, 50-50?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And that's why you'd find sometimes you'd get home late and you find your spouse has decided, you know what, we're not going to sleep hungry. I'll just throw in some things in the air fryer. And somehow, at least, we are okay, you know? And I think it's very, very important that we are able to embrace, because as our children see this, they're able to pick that up and not say that there's a specific role for a woman and a man, and it has to be specifically done like that. Anyone can do this job. Anyone, he can go in. He may even love cooking more than you do. You may hate cooking because probably you just grew up hating because you were subjected to do it somehow so that everyone does not sleep hungry. But you might find your spouse enjoys cooking, you know, and even sometimes your children. These days, even the kids, we've gotten to the point where, I mean, 10-year-olds, 11, 12, are able to cook for the household. Not because they've been asked to, but because they enjoy it. So sometimes we need to also have this free will, this conversation. And it may be 50-50. Sometimes we might even find at the end of the day, probably we might get to the 80-20, where then they're the ones who now end up doing end-to-end, you know, like you're the one who's able to push on this, continue, and I'll be the one to support the family. Yes.
Lisa, I mean, you know, when you listen to all the things that you do, I mean, from safaris to acting to organizing entrepreneurship meetings and all that, and one of the ladies here asked you, do you have 28 hours? And so how do you afford to do all these things as a person, I mean, as a woman?
I think it's very important that you really know who you are and understand who is Lisa. What does Lisa love? I love to wake up and chase those passions. So every morning with my coffee, I write the 10 things down that I need to do, 10 things down, I'm grateful, which I mentioned, but also what does today bring? And pen on paper, not always using your notes in your phone, but pen on paper always reminds you, I still have this to do, I still have to call that person. So it's being organized, and normally I start the morning by going to Lifestyle. We have an amazing gym there, and I kickbox. I love kickboxing. You know, physical fitness is so important, and you're boxing all those people out who haven't paid you or sponsors who are not responding to your call. So you feel great.
Or you go there and you have this imaginary company, you kick them.
Beat them up, and you're kicking them up. And afterwards you're like, wow, you're good. Like your mind is clear. Now I'm ready to bring on anything for the day ahead. It's a great way for anybody. Physical fitness along with mental fitness is incredibly important. And of course, go back into the rally car. You have to be physical fit to actually drive. You know, WRC is a 3-day event. It was actually 4, from Flag off to Kasarani and drive to Naivasha. Then it's 3 days in Naivasha. You have to be simply so strong, and you are changing gears non-stop. So your legs, your muscles have to be strong. Your back as well, because you're strapped into that car. And once you're in, you can't move. Like, I'll give you an example. On day 2 of the Safari Rally last year, I lost power steering. So I simply had no power steering. And you're driving through those roads that are grueling, and you are just turning. My arm was like lead afterwards, but you embrace that. But people forget actually what it requires to get into a rally car and drive. So physical fitness is incredibly important. So you're starting the day by kickboxing. Doing a lot of core work is very important to then be able to manage and navigate through the rest of the day. And I often work 7 days a week. You know, whether I'm working from home or I'm somewhere else or in the bush. I've just come from a magical safari for 5 days from northern Kenya. But it's not as if I'm just enjoying myself. I'm actually on the phone, I'm sending emails, I'm responding. So I believe also communications is key. And I will consider myself a very good communicator. So I will try and respond to an email, phone call, or WhatsApp immediately.
Do you get burnout?
No, I believe that, you know, I go into bed early. And
going to bed early. And early for you, you're talking about what time?
Before 9.
Or before 9 o'clock?
Yeah, okay. I'm an early bird. I love to make sure that I have about 8 hours minimum sleep, because realizing...
8 hours?
Yeah. And I've learned that when the time when I had was going through my cancer, you know, I was in ICU for 5 weeks, attached to a machine for life support. I couldn't talk. I had pipes everywhere in my body, and I was in this little corner. And then, you know, the only thing you could do is think. So thinking about life, again, with all the big, beautiful things, it's a lifestyle. So it's your lifestyle philosophy, taking charge of your life by doing your physical fitness, your mental fitness, and sleeping. Sleep is that healer. I love to get up early in the morning, listening to the birds, and, you know, thinking, clarity.
And you're talking about very simple things like sleeping for 8 hours. And I do not know how many people here would stand and say, I sleep for 8 hours. I mean, you know, we are always running after time, you know, trying to do this, trying to ensure kids go to sleep and, you know, they wake up and do this. And you're also talking about keeping fit, okay? And it doesn't have to be an expensive undertaking. I mean, it can be as cheap as, you know, taking a walk in the village, you know, in your farm, just observing, you know, the maize growing, you know, your cows, your chicken and all that. But Mary, I want to hear from you. Do women realize that this is also very important? You know, mental health is also very important, even as they want to grow, you know, financially, socially. Do they also realize that you also need to grow, you know, mentally? You need to breathe out. I saw something very interesting in China. They have a concept, what they call the breathing room, where you know, you can just go, you know, you break glasses, you bang the pans, you kick the, you know, you kick things, I mean, and then you go home. It seemed like the same thing she was talking about, you know, kickboxing. How then do we enlighten women that they also need to breathe out?
Well, it's very simple. If we don't give our bodies the break that it deserves, our body will force us to break one way or another. And it's not going to be very pleasant. So, and it is true that we are operating in a very stressful environment. It doesn't matter whether you are in employment or whether you are in your own business or other things, or even working from home, or because, I mean, we are all trying to make a living and do so many things. I have broken it into the 4 things that we have to critically or every day think about and make a provision for in our lives. There are 4 things. And the first one, of course, is the job, whatever the job may be. It is called the mindset. It could be studies, it could be growing our intellectual capacity, it could be actually just reporting to work, seeing that client and clinching that deal, getting that sponsor on board.
Exactly, that's a very important one, Mary.
Yeah. So there is time allocated to that. And then there's the heart set. The heart set is all those relationships that touch on the heart. This is where we have our internal families, our spouses, our partners, our children, our parents, our, you know, all those people that we love. That's the heart set. We have to provide for that time. The other one is the soul set. And the soul set is our spiritual well-being. And this is where now we make a connection with the superior being in our lives. We could be Christians, we could be Muslims. We may not actually subscribe to any religion, but we subscribe to a superior being who then keeps us in check. So whatever, that belief needs to be there in our lives. And the 4th one is the health set. What Lisa is, I don't do kickboxing, but me, I just walk in my neighborhood. And what I've tried to do now is to make it very regular every day. So just find space for something that you love doing. And as you observed, it doesn't have to be an expensive. You don't have to pay, actually. There are so many activities. Absolutely. I mean, in your office, you can take the staircase instead of taking the lift. I used to work on the 14th floor. So, I mean, if I go to the 14th floor on the staircase in the morning and in the evening, or even 10 floors, it's good. Yes. And I've integrated that to actually going to my desk. I've not even spent any extra time on that. So that is the integration that we have to look for daily. But we must also note that it's not a case of each of these has to have 25% of our time at any one time. Because if I'm working on a project which is time bound, probably the mindset will take 80% of the time. So I'll allow it to take 80% of the time at that point, because I have a project, it needs to be completed on time. And I have to talk to everybody to get it done. But what we'll do is, after that, I will have to create time for all the other 3. And it also means that we have to give up. It's a question of priorities. I mean, when I was in the bank, I had to give up you know, the wines and the dinners and the elaborate dinners after work. Because after a heavy day's work, I could only go back to my family. That's when you check whether homework is done. Maybe I've been traveling for 2 days. I come back. If the girls, my friends, are having a do, I probably would say, I'm sorry, but I cannot. I used to wake up also very early, 4:45 a.m., but you'd also find me in bed at latest 9, just to make sure. So, I mean, you just work with what you have. Yeah. If you have to wake up early, just make sure that you plan your day in a way that you are able to sleep early enough. There's a song that says, early to bed, early to rise. So that's what I used to follow. But everyone has to do a script for themselves because we do different things at different times. But I think whereas balance and integration is not easy, we can do it in our own way, in our own space. But we must then find a way to work on what is our priorities. What are the top 4 things that I must do in a day? And then relegate the rest now to the less priority, and then focus on those 4 and give space for them. Because again, we only have 24 hours. Yeah.
Caroline, I mean, when you interact with the societies, you know, at the community level, do you feel like there is a mental shift, there is an attitude shift when we talk about empowering girls, empowering women? And I know some communities are very strong when it comes to empowering women compared to others.
I think, first of all, we are doing well. I am very hopeful, despite like it's very small or people will say there is no impact, but I think we are doing well in terms of encouraging and breaking the barrier. And I believe, like I said, I do it my own personal way. I have dedicated myself to doing something to encourage somebody. So I think the society is, the gears are changing. There are great women here who are doing their own great things. And I think the conversations, the communities meeting different CBOs that we call for our, we on a day-to-day basis or in monthly, we have campaigns. Like recently we had end of the year an art and feminism campaign that we decided to take it to university students in Mombasa, Pwani University. And the conversation, taking the conversation to young people in universities, talking about gender-based violence and how they figure it out and how they think about it in a university context. It's amazing, like we don't need to talk only the top level. We need to think and curate things that the youths can get reached to and talk about it. And I think most people would and organizations should also focus. Let's not talk it on boardroom levels and this kind of interviews and all that. Let's go to the youths, let's go to women. And I think when we go even to the women in the village or youths in university with our current situation of mental health and so many issues that are surrounding us, the more we talk about it, the more we think about supporting as university students, creating conversation, then we create awareness and we try to enhance visibility and just encourage people to come forward and not be scared, especially girls, and trying to help them and tell them, yeah, you can sit on a computer and do something and actually get to know it. You can navigate AI, you can do very small things that can help you. And for me, I think I've seen so many great young people, youths coming up and saying, I started my IT journey because I attended a certain training on how to edit Wikipedia and how to know, like, nobody is judging me from where I am going to the internet space. So I think, yeah, we are doing great. It is slow, but this table of great people are doing great things on their own, in their own small way. Yeah.
Engineer Maureen, I want to hear this. I mean, you know, you are in this corporate space whereby, I mean, you know, the demands of work, are lots, and at the end of the day, you're also supposed to play your the role of a woman, in your life. Has it been easy?
Well, initially it wasn't, but I think over time and as you mature, you put things in place. I mean, and I'm glad that we're all having the same conversation about somehow waking up very early in the morning, and you find yourself up by, well, I'm up by, say, 3:54,
Oh God.
Yeah, because I'm in the gym at 4:30 on the dot. Yes. And some of those things because of wellness around that. And so
what time do you go to bed?
What time? Around maybe 10.
Around 10.
Yes, yes. I try to make sure I am in bed by 10 because I try reading a book before I sleep. So the main thing is that as we try to navigate through life, it's not been easy. You'll have meetings sometimes till very late, and you cannot bypass that because of certain struggles that you're going to face at home. So one thing, I've gotten to accept it. And accepting it means that you'll not always lead a perfect life. And sometimes as women, we try to put those kind of, percentages that I must be able to spend X time with my children, Y time with my husband or spouse or whatever it is, family, you put percentages. But sometimes you realize there's certain factors that may be required. You might need more time here and more time in other places. So one thing is that, yes, it was quite difficult, probably because then I didn't have people around me to show me that it is okay not to be okay sometimes. But at the end of the day, you do your best in whatever space that it is, and other things will just slowly fall into place. So for me, I feel like even as I keep pushing on every single day, things they've fallen into place. So if it's whatever time, if I need to push on something, let me spend a few more minutes or a few more hours sleeping a bit late, but I'll complete it. Whether it will come into a factor within my family setup, it is a point of explanation, and we'll be able to communicate this. Yeah.
Lisa, I mean, you've gone through tough times, and from what I'm hearing from you, you're truly enjoying your life. But I also know that you also have times where you feel like you want to break down. It gets tough on you. And for the women who are watching you and they're going through that phase of life where, things really get tough for you, you feel like you're going to give up, you're going to throw in the towel, what do you tell them?
You've just got to reflect on yourself and never give up, is what I always say. My friend, you start something, you finish it. You see it through. There's no halfway house here at all. In my world, no. What we start, we finish. And, yes, we wake up to battles. All of us do. We wake up to immense challenges. There's no denial about that, for sure. You're under attack from this one or from that one. There's jealousy or whatever other negativity out there. I don't do negativity. So you've got to flip whatever challenge you're facing into a positive mindset, okay? And then you'll get through it. We all do it. We all see the light at the end of the tunnel. But sometimes there's a reason why we're going through those challenges. And I will again say, it makes you stronger. It gives you some backbone. So you're able to get that resilience inside you, and you have to be able to fight. I think life is like a battlefield, and I'm always like, I'm the general here. Let's march on, let's soldier on, and we will do it, and we'll all come out shining and winning. Positive mindset, positive attitude is what I would say we all need to do. And sharing your story, if you want to have that voice, reach out to somebody on the Wikipedia media. Today, for example, in The Nation, Peter Jenga's written a beautiful article about my story, because people just look at you and say, you look like such a glam babe. Hey, let me tell you my story. Seen the dust behind me? No. It's there's a lot of challenges, but that makes you more resilient to be able to say that, yes, we have a glamorous side, but we have many other sides to us.
Very good. And I like the fact that you're bringing in, and I always say that, to every story there must be a history. And sometimes, we like to focus on the story, not really wanting to read the history, behind your success. And I want to bring more in here. Because we are winding up, and I can see, the surprise that I've been talking about here is finally here with us. As we wind up, you know, what is your advice to the young girls, to the women who are watching you and wondering, will I ever make it in life?
Yes, for me, I always say anything is possible. Anything is so possible. Like if you read my story probably online, you'll realize that I've not gone through an ordinary standard engineering path. I've passed through different departments. I've done this, I've tried this, I've fallen there, I don't know what. You just try each and everything, somehow you'll realize your path, you know? And I feel like my path is unique. I think the problem is that we try to create a very special, perfect path for ourselves because we've seen our successors doing that. But why can't you make your own path and make it unique? So my advice would be, let your path be unique. Tell your story in a different way so that then people can be able to say, you know, that was actually a very interesting story. It was not the traditional, it was not the ordinary, but it was actually a very unique story. Number two is that it's okay to fall down. And you'll fall many times because out of that falling and you eating that dust is when you can pick up and say, you know what? What made me fall down? What obstacle made me fall down? Then you'll fine tune it, you'll sharpen it. Probably that's not my direction. I may want to be X, but as I look at it, I keep falling on that route. Probably, is it the right route? No, maybe I can fine tune it in a different route. So make it unique to your space, fall several times, but the main thing is get up and continue running. Get up and run.
Dust off and keep going.
And keep going.
Yes, Mary.
For me, I think it's really focus on the values that drive us, because for me, and the purpose really gives us the energy, the push, and that is what drives us, even when things are not working, and we can see failure staring failure right in the face. When we are driven by a strong sense of purpose, then we find that it energizes us to look for solutions, confront the issues like that engineer is saying head on. So I think let's focus on our values, and hard work is actually one of the values that I subscribe to. I really don't believe that anything can ever be achieved unless we put in the hours, one way or another. Whether you do it digitally or whether you do it on-site or physically, we have to put in the hours for us to get the best results that we need. So focus on that. And finally, the integrity. Whatever you are doing, own business, employment, or whatever, just weave in the integrity into whatever you are doing, because then it means you set for yourself a very strong foundation that cannot be shaken even in the future as you grow.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes, Caroline.
I think my conclusion will tell the women and the girls is to believe in themselves. After all said and done and everybody's point, we need to believe in ourselves. And I also really believe in integrity, doing what we need to do the right way. So no matter what, we wake up, we do what, we have to believe in ourselves and keep pushing and keep breaking the barriers and keep doing what we can in our own way. Yeah.
Very good. Keep doing what we can in our very own small ways. Yes, Lisa.
So I think, again, it's just, you know, keep pushing on. Just believe in yourself and, you know, whatever it is that you want to do in life, do it as best as you can. You know, make yourself proud. Forget other people, it's yourself. You want to tap yourself on the shoulder and say, hey guys, I did really well. I'm so proud of myself. And then let everybody else celebrate you and congratulate you. So keep soldiering on, girls.
Yeah.
Very good. And why do people call you Mama Chewy?
Because I love animal print. I love that chewy design. Oh, and by the way, I'm adding a new thing to my trailblazing title. Fashion designer.
Oh, wow.
Getting into the space of fashion.
Last year, one dear from Vivo reached out to me and said, I would love you to collaborate on a safari collection for Vivo. So I said, I would love to do that. So I've designed 12 pieces of ladies' fashion. So not only safari clothing, but clothing that you can actually wear to the office, or if you're going out for a cocktail with the girlfriends in the evening. So check out Vivo's store from Saturday the 15th of March at the Center shop.
Very good.
And it's called the Chewy Collection.
You also talked about organizing safaris for ladies.
Predominantly ladies. Yes.
How do you do that?
So during COVID, opened up a lot of opportunities when now people couldn't travel. So I took sometimes up to 3 times a month women on safaris, 2 to 3 days in the bush, walking safaris, camel safaris, running with warriors, swimming in waterfalls, doing amazing things that they've never ever dreamed of, showing them their country. This is the beautiful part of Kenya. And Kenya has so many hidden gems. So, you know, just have to buy my little guidebook, Bush Friendly Tips, which they can buy at Lifestyle. It's on a sale right now. And I'm also happy to sign it for whoever. And that has all the essential tips of the entire Kenya in that book.
When is the next trip?
When do you want to go?
Am I welcome as a man?
You're welcome. Absolutely, men are welcome.
I'm looking forward for a safari for the 4 of you. I think it will be very interesting.
I'm
Definitely. Courtesy of KCB sponsors.
We are sponsored,
So thank you very much. And I mean, I must appreciate you finding time, you know, out of your busy and hectic schedules to come here and be with us here. And of course, you know, encourage more women and women who are there, our sisters, our mothers, our grandmothers, our cousins, and even our aunties. I mean, it's quite amazing, you know, listening to your stories and what you're doing in your small ways to empower women in this life. It is quite an incredible story that you have to share. Thank you so very much. And Nida, I know you have to go back to your daily routine so that you can pay your taxes.
Yeah.
Your time is highly appreciated.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I've been talking about a surprise which is coming up here, and I can see the team is already in the studio. And I just want to tell you things. And I'd like to give the story of, you know, of diamond or even gold. I mean, you see, for you to get gold or diamond, I mean, you have to dig deep. You know, sometimes you have to go 3,000 feet. I mean, down, you know, for you to get it. And the reason you do this is because it's a precious metal. And why is it precious? It's because of the processes that it has to go through. I mean, think about the digging the dirt, you know, lifting the mud out, you know, and sending people down there in a very tricky and, of course, a dangerous mission to get that gold from the ground. It is not refined. It is in dirty form. And then you have to bring it up. And, of course, take it through the furnace. You have to burn it so that you refine it. You have to cut it. It's not an enjoyable process. It's a painful process for the gold to go through. But once this is all done, it has to fetch what we call the top dollar. And that is the process. That is the price that gold has to pay in order for it to become expensive. And that is the journey that we must all be ready to walk through. We must go through the cutting, through the washing, through the fire, so that we become polished and we become expensive. Ladies, I just want to wish you a happy International Women's Day. And of course, we look forward to more of this kind of engagement. Definitely. And I hope next time when we call you, so that you can share your beautiful stories and brilliant ideas, I'm sure you'll be up to the challenge because you've already been up to the challenge and you'll come over here. Definitely. So that is it. Do you want to wish somebody happy International Women's Day? We have about a minute. That's what my producer is telling me.
Oh, okay. Definitely all the women in all the special, doesn't matter where they lie. I just want to wish them a happy International Women's Day. Let's accelerate that action, and for sure. The theme is this.
The theme is this.
Yes.
Very good. Lisa.
I would say the same thing, you know, happy International Women's Day to all those amazing women out there doing amazing things and being those inspirations, because we've all got women that we aspire to and who have inspired us.
Very good.
So my 3 daughters, Joy, Jackie, Lisa, and all the women and the men who support them to become the best that they can. Happy International Women's Day.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'll wish my mom, who inspires me. She's a retired teacher, and she inspires me daily. And we have a community of women-led user group in Kenya who we take the Wikipedia space very strong. I want to wish them Happy Women's Day. They inspire me every day to do what I do.
Very good. Yeah. And I also want to take this opportunity to wish my amazing wife a happy International Women's Day. And of course, my mother and my sisters, they're all great. And of course, all the women around our lives. Happy International Women's Day. I can see the cake is finally here with us. I want to welcome our editor-in-chief number 2 to come over here so that they can guide us through the cake cutting process. I can see she's accompanied by beautiful women, and they're going to guide us through this as we welcome and as we celebrate the International Women's Day. I can see one of my co-anchor here, Irene Muchuma, carrying that beautiful cake